Hi, I'm Sydney and welcome back to the Kosher Carnivore Club. So today I'm going to share with you what I eat during the week. This is not the way I eat on Shabbat. I definitely have more fun with my Shabbat food, get a little more creative. But for during the week, I keep it really simple. I spent years making salads and stir fries and measuring and weighing and doing all kinds of things that took a lot of effort, a lot of brain power. And one of the nice things about carnivore is that it is extremely simple. Now, most people, when they go on carnivore, they actually have a bit of a challenge getting enough food because carnivore can be really satiating. I am someone that's a little bit unusual, and Kelly Hogan calls it being a volume eater. I have a really big appetite. So I actually have to keep an eye that I don't eat too much, because if I eat too much, I can easily gain weight, even while being completely carnivore, while being completely lion diet or almost lion diet carnivore. So what I do is extremely simple, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. I always know what I'm going to eat. I also know that I'm always going to feel really good after I eat. I know that this is enough food for my body. And if I'm hungry, it's just because of my mood or something. I'm not actually hungry. I have enough nutrition. I know that I'm going to have energy and my digestion's going to be great. And it definitely took a while to figure this out. I mean, I've been carnivore for over 2 years. This is not the way I was eating when I started, and it might not be the way I'm going to be eating in the future. But right now, this is what's working for me. I want to have about 800 grams of meat per day, which is about 2 pounds of beef per day. And that works for me, works for my macros. You can go on to like anywhere online. If you need help, drop in the comment and I will help you to figure out where. It's called the TDEE, Total Daily Energy Expenditure, I believe it is. There are many TDEE calculators online, and you can find out your what is it called? Right, calories that you need for the day. I haven't had to deal with calories in a while. So many people who are carnivore are just intuitive. You just eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. My problem has always been that I don't necessarily stop when I'm full. Now, that being said, sometimes I do fast. I mean, I have done a fair bit of fasting, and some intermittent fasting I do on it every day. I do intermittent fasting, but I've done quite a bit of extended fasting, 36 hours, 40 hours. I've done like 72 hours. I haven't really done longer than that, but I think once I maybe did like 5 days or something. But it kind of takes a lot out of me. A lot of women are not really up for that, and I guess I'm one of those women. It doesn't really work for me. So I think that in the winter I tend to be hungrier and do much less fasting, and then in the summer I do more fasting. But it's kind of like when I'm eating, I'm hungry. When I'm fasting, I'm not as hungry. Right? It kind of goes either or. I don't really have a lot of in between. So as I was saying, so for me, I calculated my calories once or twice just to get a feel for it, because as I said, if I eat intuitively, I will tend to gain weight. And I personally cannot eat eggs. I cannot eat salmon and chicken. And like, there are so many carnivore foods that even while you're kosher, you can enjoy, but they don't work for me. They hurt me. It flares up I have, as I said, I have rheumatoid arthritis. I technically have it, because if I eat the regular foods, I will have those pains. So I will have arthritis pain, and I will have fibromyalgia pain, and joint stiffening and everything. If I eat regular foods, if I eat dairy, if I eat fish, if I eat chicken, if I eat turkey, I will have those symptoms. So I have them, but they're in remission because I don't eat those types of food. So I just eat beef, and I supplement with it to get higher fat, because again, okay, so a lot of people for carnivore, they need to lower their fat a little bit because they'll get the runs. And I'm different than that. If I don't eat enough fat, then everything gets backed up. So I need to eat a lot of fat. So I will eat 800 grams of ground beef a day. And I found that ground beef is just the easiest. I was doing asado, ribs, different types of cuts, but it's so much easier. I'll save those things for Shabbat usually. It's so much easier on a day-to-day basis. Just I come home from the store, I take the ground beef, I buy pure ground beef from the butcher. At least here in Israel, if you buy prepackaged frozen ground beef, it has like soy and things mixed into it. So I go to a butcher and I get fresh ground beef. I come home, I weigh it out really quickly into 400 gram little glops, and I smoosh it down in a baggie, and I make it the shape of my Ninja. And my Ninja, okay, so the Ninja to me is the best thing ever on carnivore. It took me a very long time to buy one for myself. They had a sale one day. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm only eating meat. I deserve a Ninja. And if I had known how wonderful the Ninja would be for me, I would have bought it a very long time sooner, because that's a game changer. That's just amazing. So I just smoosh my little 400 grams of ground beef. Like I said, that's about 1 pound, into a baggie and flatten it so it's kind of a rectangle shape and fits into my Ninja. And then I'll freeze those. And when I want to eat, so which is twice a day, I take one out frozen and I pop it in the Ninja and I put it in for about 14 minutes on the highest heat, and it gets nice and crusty on the outside and is still juicy inside. And that's one of my meals. I will supplement either tallow or duck fat. I find duck fat is just easier for me to source here, and I render that, and I keep that in the freezer or in the fridge. So I will add that because, again, as a kosher carnivore, I'm not adding butter. Everyone's like, oh, you can have, whatever you want to have and then add butter, but we're not adding butter. So tallow, I don't like quite as much as duck fat. So far the duck fat is totally fine by me. It has not caused me any pain or any issues. For Pesach this year, I'm planning actually to buy a whole duck and see how that works. That could be really nice, but I have not tried that yet. But so far the fat is really good. It's really nice. It's clean. Very easy to render. I just cut it small and pop it in the oven on a fairly low temperature, and it just melts out. And at the very, very end, there are these little cracklings, which they're like carnivore popcorn, and those are a really, really yummy treat. So once a day, usually I'll have my 400 grams made that way. And then after I finish eating in like mid-morning, I don't know, like 9, 10-ish or something like that. So then I will take my other 400 grams and I'll put that also in the Ninja on the dehydration, on the dehydration setting. And I smoosh it out and I poke it with my fingers so it gets kind of like these little crevices. And that dehydrates for a few hours. I flip it over and dehydrate that for a few hours, and that gets to be a little bit more of a jerky consistency, but it's also fresh. It's not really dried. It's not super chewy. It's very nice. I like it. And I'll also put like some extra duck fat on that. In the middle of the day, I sometimes will have a cup of bone broth or collagen broth, depending on what I've made. It's something that, again, I make by myself. And so I'll have that. And other than that, I really just have around 2 liters. So what is that, like 8, 10 cups or something like that of water, seltzer, sparkling water, no flavors or anything. I always put Sole water. So I have a bottle of Sole water. If you don't know what Sole water is, I will link to the link of that. It is really, really, really good for electrolytes. I take pink Himalayan salt and gray Celtic sea salt. I put them in a little jar and I add water to it and shake it up, and then it gets as saturated as it can, and any extra salt falls to the bottom. And that water, called Sole water, S-O-L-E, it has a lot of electrolytes and minerals and magnesium and stuff in there. I definitely saw the difference. I was once away and we got stuck and whatever, and I just didn't have my Soli water, and I did start to get a little bit of cramping in my muscles. They definitely see a difference. So I always have that in my water, and I always salt my food, with pink Himalayan salt. And that's it. Yeah, so I have my ground beef. I have my extra fat added. I have my water. I have my salts. That's what I eat during the week. I definitely do not eat that way on Shabbat. So another time we'll talk about how I eat on Shabbat. I would absolutely love to hear how you are eating, and if you have any questions, anything you want to say. If you want to come on and do an interview, I'd love to talk to you if you are a kosher carnivore. And let's be in touch. Have a great day.